and welcome to all our viewers from around the world. Welcome to Gold Learning. My name is Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and MC here at Gold, and I'm here today with Dr. Webra Price. Welcome, Webra. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you.
It is so lovely to have you here today. We are getting ready of the Gold Neonatal online conference here at Gold, and you are one of our speakers at the conference. So it's wonderful to have you here and chat a little bit about you. We will talk about your presentation in just a minute, but before we do so, because we have an international audience, where in the world are you located, Webra? And then tell us a little bit about where you work and a little bit about your journey.
I'm located in the United States, in the state of Maryland on the East Coast. I work in Baltimore, Maryland for the University of Maryland Medical Center and Johns Hopkins. I coordinate the Maryland Regional Neonatal Transport Program, which is a private joint venture between the University of Maryland Medical Center and Johns Hopkins Hospital. We exclusively do neonatal transports to bring babies into the University of Maryland and Johns Hopkins.
And I assume from the area, or is it nationwide, or you're bringing in babies from
No,
certain
no,
areas only?
it's just local babies from our referring hospitals within the state of Maryland.
How many babies per week do you usually, or per, I don't know how you measure it, but how many babies do you usually see or
We
transport?
do about 800 transports a year. That
Mhm.
includes the ones that are coming in for a higher level of care,
Right.
and also the babies that are returning to their birth hospitals or a community hospital that's closer for the parents to be with them.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that here. I know a little bit, I had, read up a little bit about you, and you've done amazing work over these many years. You have been in practice and working with in transport there. I also saw somewhere that you are utilizing integrative medicine strategies to support the families and healthcare providers to promote resiliency. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I found that fascinating and very interesting.
Well, my practice is really transitioning more from acute care to more wellness. We are trying to pay attention to our healthcare providers and trying to introduce some wellness strategies to the team itself. We all know that it's been a real trying time in healthcare,
Hmm.
and sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves and each other
Hmm.
first.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can imagine that as well. And I know you're also teaching, right? You're teaching also yoga, is that correct?
I am. I teach yoga to special populations once a week. I'm working with clients that have survived strokes
Mhm.
and using yoga to help them maximize their abilities. Yes.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. It's so important. And you're so right. There has been challenging times, in healthcare and also for healthcare providers there, teaching self-care and being able to, support each other and, themselves is so important. So thank you for doing this amazing work on top of your work in transport there as well. So let's talk about that. Your presentation here at Gold for the Gold Neonatal Conference is titled Neonatal Stabilization and Transport, New Science, Old Reminders, and some common sense. And I believe in the years you have been, working in this field, a lot probably has changed, right? I mean, technology has made leaps and bounds and such jumps. Other things have, are still somewhat the same. And I find your title fascinating because it's at old reminders and some common sense. So talk about a little bit about the presentation and what we can look forward to.
Well, I'm going to talk about how a couple of things have come full circle.
Hmm.
Uh, and the pendulum seems to swing from being very interventionist to non-interventionist depending on what's available at the time.
Hmm.
And we tend to embrace new technology, and then sometimes we find out that the new technology is great, but maybe it's not for everybody, and we need to go back to things we've done in the past that have worked
Mm,
really well. And then with technology brings additional knowledge and need for information. And so we need to be very cognizant about our communication and making sure that our knowledge is disseminated and we're communicating well in a clinical setting.
mm,
And then also appreciating that it takes a little while to get the science to the bedside,
mm.
and trying to be patient with new things as they come out, being willing to embrace new things, but also appreciating that we want to depend on the science.
Yes, and you're so right about this, and I often wonder about this. Why it is taking so long for some of the research and findings, and to get into practice. It's as care providers, we want to see this now, right? We want it done now and wanted to implement it now, but it is taking quite a little bit of time to reach the clinical, right?
It does, and we still have some health disparities in our
Yeah.
healthcare research. In that, a lot of what we know in the neonatal population, we have borrowed from the science of our
Mm,
pediatric colleagues and our adult colleagues. So it not only takes a long time to get the science from uh, the science to the bedside, but then there is an additional layer of concern anytime you deal with women and children,
mm-hmm.
pregnant women and children. There's an additional concern about that. Um, and that just kind of like slows things down a little bit. We want to wait to make sure that we have good data and efficacy before we begin to utilize it with the neonatal population.
Absolutely. We need to have good data for sure before we implement that. You are so right about that too. Also interesting what you mentioned earlier there about we were so ready to jump into new technology and then finding out that maybe not everything is suitable for everyone and going back to things how we have done them in the past, right? I mean, did that surprise you when you saw that, or was that something that you kind of expected over the years that this would happen?
I think early in my career, it surprised me, but I think now just having an individualized approach for each baby and each family, and just being willing to try whatever we have available. We
Mhm.
know from working in different settings and different locales, what works well in one setting may not work well in another.
Yeah. Absolutely. That is so true. It's something that works perfectly in one area there in one location, and then in the next it doesn't work at all. Different team, different, the setup just doesn't work right. And I imagine you really have to be also very flexible when you work in this kind of field, right? To kind of adjust to situations and you mentioned individualized care there as well. So I think that sounds wonderful. Well, Dr. Webber Price, it's been such a pleasure sitting here with you and chatting about the upcoming presentation. I can't wait to find out more. I can't wait to learn more here from you on the subject on neonatal stabilization and transport, new science, old reminders, and some common sense. And you will be presenting live on June 14th. So thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, I just mentioned this presentation is part of the Gold Neonatal Online Conference of 2021. This presentation will be live on June 14th, but don't worry if you are not able to attend the live presentation. All the presentations are always recorded, so you can access them at another time. And if you would like to find out more about this presentation and the other presentations in the conference, we would like to invite you to visit goldneonatal.com. Thank you everyone for watching, and thank you again, Dr. Webra Price Douglas. Bye bye, everyone.